Hello, everyone. It's welcome. We are out here to discuss doubts or questions that you may have with regards to MA Education Elementary and the MA Education Technology that we're offering as blended learning programs. Um, it is 7 p.m. and maybe others will join, but in the interest of time and because we have set 7, we will start at 7. And please feel free to ask your questions, your doubts, your queries. We are here from the School of Education at Tata Institute of Social Science. Along with me are two of my colleagues, Anil Maman, who is a professor of practice with us, and also Nilesh Gorkude, who is also with the element. I saw him at that time, yes. So you will see all of us. Feel free to ask us questions, and we would hope this to be a more interactive, talk and discussion rather than really a presentation. But we'll quickly take you through the slides to just kind of begin a talking point, and to have a whole range of where information and what is it that you would want to know about the institute and the programs we offer. So this is going to be the overview. We are not going to give you the 5 programs, but in terms of admissions, you have already begun the journey of questioning, of vigoring, and this is our main gate, our main campus, and this is how it looks. And we hope that we will soon welcome you here as you walk through those gates and walk in. We hope to see you all there. The Tata Institute of Social Sciences is under the Ministry of Education, and we operate since 1936. We have become, we were a private institute at that point, and then we came under the Ministry of Education over a period of years. So it's an old institution that we are known for with 60 plus multidisciplinary programs, and we have different units. We have campuses in Hyderabad and Tuljapur in Maharashtra and Guwahati in Assam. And in terms of it, we really try to inform our courses with both field action and field-based, evidence-based research allowances. We engage with the state and national and international discourses, and we try to keep it as avant-garde as possible with respect to constantly changing our readings, our methodologies, and even our curriculum design. And we definitely have a vibrant campus life of which you will partake at least a little bit because the blended programs do have on-campus immersion time where we will be taking you through each of it. And we also try and ensure that you have academic support where some of our colleagues, our faculty, our research associates, and even other students come together to help support you as you perhaps come back to academia after a long break or have not been accustomed to the kind of readings and ideas that education as a field has. And the financial support to students is something that, again, the government of India also promises, but we also try to ensure supports. We can't promise, but we do try. So we'll take you through some of these elements at education, teaching, and research. We are the School of Education at TIS Mumbai, and we were inceptualized in sense in 2012, though the MA Education Elementary program is since 2006. But we were under the social work, and then we became our independent school in 2012, and we have many centers under it. One of it is the Center of Excellence, which was established in 2015 and was focused on transforming teacher education. And there is also in Hyderabad the School of Educational Studies, but that also offers an MA in Education program, which is on campus, and of course the PhD. So this is primarily the fact that these all are about education programs. At TIS, we do collaborate across the campuses. We have certain other programs that you may hear of or you may be interested in. but those are only allowed through the PGCUET, which you may or may not have applied for. So what we are looking at is not the left side box, which is for teacher education, which focuses on very professional degrees of B.Ed and Med, with interim exit and entries that are there. And the professional education of MA education, which is offered in both the Hyderabad campus and the Mumbai campus. And what we are looking at today are two programs that we're very, very proud of. Our flagship program, which is the MA Education Elementary, and which Nilesh will take us through in a brief while. And the MA in Education and Technology, which is another very avant-garde program, is a one-year program that occurs. If you want to do it full-time, if it is part-time, then it comes and spans across 2 years. And both are Mumbai located, and they are both blended. And we're very proud to offer these to enable working professionals and those who cannot get away from their home place to do on-campus immersion to be able to continue to study and still get an experience and a taste of campus life. We have done a lot. We are across the world. As we said, TIS itself is across the world. And with education, particularly the School of Education has led in terms of not just all over India. We are in most all states and union territories of India that we have had some or the other intervention. But we also are across the world. So we are been in Tanzania, in Nigeria, in South Africa for studies, etc., in Bhutan, in Afghanistan, in Nepal, in Bangladesh. And we collaborate extensively with people in China, in Thailand, in Singapore, Hong Kong, etc., that we have done for collaborations of curricula. We also have tie-ups with Brazil, with UK, with the University of Sussex, and also Cambridge and Open University, and so on. So we have had multiple collaborations in addition to the fact that our faculty also have their own individual interests and research collaborations across the world. Some may be in South America, some may be across Asia or Africa or America itself, and so on. So we work and try and ensure, and a lot of our work, one of the flagship programs that we've had is Connected Learning Initiative, and that also won quite a few awards. And one thing that we have learned is that we need to focus on inclusive education, universal design for learning, and ensure that we do things with a design-based research in mind. So a lot of our teaching practices also result in practitioner research, development, and so on. We have tried to ensure that we design in active learning spaces, try and experiment, try and create these, and we open up some of these design-based modules to other participants, to students, to we've generally had annual workshops on design-based learning. We may not be able to have it this particular year, but we will see how we can make that viable and visible again. But we definitely have these kinds of workshops, which are open platforms of 5 days of immersive learning, get people to think about designing, but we also use a lot of practices of these in our own development of innovations. We then implement in the States to see how that goes, and then we review and research and publish, and then the cycle goes on. So we have been using this all the time, and we have developed games like the Polis Squad, which is for geometry, or language agnostic tools like OpenStory, which is Be an Author, and many more. We keep experimenting and exploring, and we believe in open educational resources. So in that process, we have won quite a few awards and been recognized by different players, including the UNESCO Award for Connected Learning Initiative, as I said, but also for teacher effectiveness, again from UNESCO in 2020, and Open Education Collaboration Awards, and Northeast Awards, and gold categories, and multiple other recognitions that we have been going on about through both our projects and our innovations and others. We have a host of partners, And we work with some of these definitely, but many more in the past and in the making. So we keep adding on to our kitty of the number of people we work with. These are formal tie-ups with both schools, with partnerships, with Capgemini, with TIFR, so other academic collaborators, other industry partners, state governments. What you will see are large-scale NGOs, small-scale NGOs, schools, and different universities, but also educate institutions that connect and work with educational institutions. So British Council or NARAG or others are people whom we try and connect with. Both in India and across the world. We have a robust school internship, and why we are saying it, even though you have a blended learning program, is it's important to know how we are reaching there, and that the teachers from these schools also inform some of these programs. They let us know how it is effective or not effective for them. And so we focus on some of those need-based. We have placement partners, and placements are now open to both the MA Education Elementary and the MA Education and Technology students. Earlier, we thought working professionals would not need it, but now we realize that even they do, because they are expanding and opening up to new vistas that they may perhaps not have explored earlier. So we try and ensure that those facilitations are in place. So we have both a school TIS level placement process, of which you won't be a part of, because you have to be on campus for that. But we have a school level placement process in which you all are welcome. And I mean, every student who is part of the MA Education Elementary and the MA in Education Technology is welcome to be a part of, to opt for that placement process. We have field attachments and capstone collaborations with multitudes of partners. And again, you may be working with certain organizations that you can again tie us up with. And students generally do that with both these because they come from different kinds of industry experiences. We will have more of this as Nilesh and Anil explain the course program structures to us. On that note, we come to the first program, our flagship program that we are proud of. Nilesh, over to you.
Thank you, Anusha. So, hello and welcome everyone. I am Nilesh and I'm a faculty at the School of Education. So, I'll give you a brief information about MA Education Elementary. So, this course is a pioneer course in education. So, there's no master's degree in education, while we had traditional BEd and MEd courses. But in TISS, along with six other NGO partners and academic institutions like SBCSC and NIAS, designed this course back in 2006, and ever since we have been running this. Now, because of the NEP 2020 requirements, we have increased the credit load, and it is now total 80 credits course, which will span across 2 years. So the course, next slide, Anusha, please. Yes. So as I said earlier, that the course is in blended mode. So you are required to come on campus for 10 to 12 days each semester for your contact period classes, and then the classes are conducted every day face to face. So this is the time you'll get to see us face to face. You meet your classmates, discuss, and that's a fun time when you are here on campus for us also. So rest of the classes, how we plan distance period and the face-to-face mode is half of the syllabus is covered, roughly half of the syllabus is covered during when you are on campus, and then half of it we cover on Zoom platform, and the classes during the distance period are conducted in the evening hours so that you can continue working and doing your job. So having said that, we also encourage fresh graduates who are not working, but still they want to pursue this course. So you're also free to apply. There's no work experience for this program is desirable, but it is not a mandatory requirement. So this no, previous slide, Anusha. So this course offers you like critical and reflective understanding of core areas in education and not just elementary education. So because we call this degree elementary, we're working on taking it out. But we largely deal with education. So core areas like philosophy of education, history of education, psychology of education, sociology of education, and there are pedagogies like pedagogy of science, social science, mathematics, and pedagogy of language, mind, and society. So pedagogy of languages. Apart from this, there are also optional courses. So there are two baskets as of now, thematic, and there are some advanced courses that you will build on the courses that you have opted in the earlier semester. So, like for instance, you have sociology is compulsory. Now you want to extend that, so then you can opt for education, nation state, and globalization, which we call sociology 2. And in thematic basket, we have courses like education, leadership, and management. We have teacher professional development. We have gender and education, and we have caste, tribe, and education, ICT, and education, etc. Now we can move on to the next slide, Amisha. So this is how the program structure looks like. So each core course is introduced in like in the first 3 semesters, at least couple of first 2 semesters, at least two major courses, because education research now the new structure, education research has been given more weightage because of the NEP requirements. And in the final semester, we have research dissertation, which has 8 credits. So it has a lots of credit value and lots of work um, and study for you. Yeah, so I think this is it. You may have a look at it, and if you have any questions, I can give you. We can get back
Yeah.
on that. Fees at the moment on the website it is 1,83,000, but it is under revision, and we are working on it. And hopefully, we are working to reduce it and not to increase. So please take that.
Thank you,
Please note
Nilesh.
that. Yeah.
And since some of you have actually told us that you're interested in both programs at the time of registering for the webinar, we will take you through the MA Education and Technology. But if you have any questions, feel free to type in the chat or even unmute yourself at any point and talk. You're more than welcome to ask us questions as you're going along. And I can see some new chats out there. Um, so, Yash, we will come back to this answer in a sense. Definitely a very worthwhile question. Uh, but it is largely, as you pointed out, it is an MA in education which is blended rather than MA in elementary. But we will come back to this. After you get the MA in education technology and see the courses, you will have a view of some of these elements. So I will take you through MA in education and technology, and Anil and I will work on some of these elements that come through. MA in Education and Technology is the newest kid on the block. So, MA in Education Elementary, which is how it was named at the beginning in 2006, we felt it was an underserved space that people were not focusing upon, and we thought we must focus upon it. And so that's how the course got to be built in 2006. It's almost going to be 20 years since we went into the design and the offering of the course. And we're really, really excited about the fact that this will be a 20th batch of students that come in. Uh, MA in Education Technology is very new. It's very nascent. We've had this for the last few years. And I did want to say that earlier there used to be 51 days on campus, and this has now changed to 30 days on campus at the most. So, like you had with MA Education and elementary, you would have to be on campus, but because the course credits and the course ways are modality is slightly different, you're crunching a whole degree into 1 year, which is 42 credits in 1 year. We will need you to come to campus 3 times a year if you do the full-time course. So in the 3 times a year, you basically come once at the beginning at when you join, which will also be alongside the MA Education Elementary students. Then you come once mid-semester, in a sense that you will be coming again during a vacation break at the end of the first semester and the beginning of the second semester. And we enable you to come in and spend some time with us then, about 10 days then. So you have 10 days, 10 to 12 days at the beginning, 8 to 10 days in the middle, or 10 days in the middle. And then at the end, before you get exit with your degree, etc., we have another round where you all are coming back together to present your capstone presentation, which Anil will talk about, and to kind of, wrap up some of the course materials and the presentations and the assignments and so on. So that is another 10 days. So it's basically that flow. If you were doing it in a part-time mode, what would happen is it would again get split up, but would be slightly different. You would do a few days at the beginning when you join the program, then again at the beginning of the semester. What you would again come in the third semester, but you would now be coming as a part of for a shorter periods of time. You would be making it about 4 times a year as shorter periods of time that you would come in sequence, and you would have that split over 2 years. So why do people choose the part-time course? If you can't handle the very heavy workload of 20 credits that happen per semester, it is very heavy, intense. And when we say that the mode of delivery is partly face-to-face and partly online, please note for both the programs, you actually have lectures almost every day of the week. And in MA in Education and Technology, because it's so avant-garde and you will need to have a lot of technology explorations, a lot of people are actually trying to figure out how to get the time for the technology exploration. So some people who have a very intense, heavy full-time job think that, they can spread it out over 2 years and take it a bit easy. So that is the reason why you would do a 2-year part-time program as opposed to the full-time program. And yes, you have intense online elements. We are, again, like MAEE, this was also designed and conceptualized in partnership with a host of people working in different organizations, from the NGO sector to the industries like Capgemini or Tata ClassEdge. And we also were partnering with places like IIT Bombay and so on and so forth. And that is how the robustness of the course has come about in terms of being practice-based and contemporary issues for established professionals. You don't have to be working in the field. We also have people who have come afresh and new into it. So now on that basis of explaining things to you, what we are trying to state is that the MA Education in Technology, as you can see, launched in just June 2023 in partnership with a host of other organizations that we collaborated with to have this design, was based on the fact that we wanted leaders and professionals who would engage with teaching, research, policy, educational, tech, product development, designing, and so on. And you will study. You will study with experts and practitioners. So about some of our courses are led by, of course, the academic faculty, and some of the courses are taught by industry experts. And so you have them as part-time, and we work around the industry experts' timing. So the timings for the classes in the online mode for both MAE and MEET are generally from 6:37. And this is the time that we generally launch the classes. So it's for 2 hours in the weekdays, sometimes weekends, but not all the time. And we also, again, have education courses, technology specialization courses. We want to get you to have a foundation in education, like psychology of education, sociology of education. These are there, policy overall, and then edtech policy. So there are technology specialization courses, but they build on the foundation of education. And then we also have education technology core courses, which you will have to do irrespective. The specialization is something that you choose. For instance, you may choose to specialize in assessment, or you may choose to specialize in inclusive education and assistive technology specifically. And finally, to cap it off, you have the capstone project. So at this note, I will ask Anil to step in and take us through what does the capstone project really do before we get into the MA education technology. Before that, I will just give you a overall element of, just as Nilesh did, which is that you will be preparing yourself in terms of industry. But what can you do post this is, of course, you can be in EdTech evaluation, in curriculum designing, instructional design. We expect you to do certain courses which are online. We are focusing on certain spaces which are really focused on school education, but we've had groups of students that are enabling us, and because it's a cohort-based questioning, some may be interested in higher education. And then in those courses where higher education might make sense, for instance, assessment in higher education or learning design for adult learners, we do address those questions based on the cohort needs. Overall, the program itself, however, was designed for school education, so it will be a core component of whatever courses you study. But we do look at all the other practices and focuses on. So there may be university side settings, there can be school side settings, there are elements that do come through all the others. Aparna, very good questions to ask. We will get there. Aisha, also, your questions are valid. Now you can see that MA Technology program structure has some of the similarities in terms of curriculum, schools and teachers, learners and learning, key ideas and concepts. And to go back to your question, Yash, you would see that some of these questions and some of these programs, while the names are slightly different, also occur in the course units out here, such as the History of Education Part 1, Part 2, and the Educational Psychology Part 1, Part 2, and so on. So you have a lot of these elements which are similar. So learners and learning is really educational psychology with another name to it, in a sense. So curriculum, schools, and teachers, figuring out teaching, learning, and technology, learning design, and so on. So every semester has an odd of around 20 to 21 credits. In this case, you will see that there is one semester with 21 credits. And before you get overwhelmed and say, oh my God, how will I do all of this in 3 months? Please note that we generally extend a bit of time for you all to be able to finish it. And in the MA Education and Technology structure, what we do is we try and club some of the courses to finish a bit early. So some of these courses get done. So we split the semester into 2 terms primarily. So the first half, we have some courses and they are done with. And then we have the second half, where for 2 months, 2 months and 2 months, we will do the second half 2 months with some courses. So you basically try and, um, build and focus only on a few courses at a time. But in the immersion period, we introduce you to all the courses. That's also true for MA Education and Technology. We do MA Education Elementary. We do try and reduce the load on you by taking some of the professional, the PC courses, as we call the professional competency courses, and try and finish them as early as possible, both in MA Education and Technology and in MA Education and Elementary, so that the load on you is slightly less. I will ask Anil to kind of take us through the capstone. I want to reiterate eligibility, but I do want to say that we have exciting courses, and most of these courses, like social marginality or policy institutions and practices, all guide you towards a capstone. So, Anil, would you want to just take us through this?
Thank you, Anusha. So even I come from the industry, by the way. So I used to be the chief learning designer with Tata Classes, and been with just since 2023. So that's because capstone is. I'm saying that because capstone is one of the most practical aspects of a course. You may have to excuse me, I have a slightly bad throat. So essentially, the capstone project is your opportunity to apply what you learn throughout the program. Okay, so you will spend, in fact, you may even spend a few weeks at a field site, which could be a school, a university, a startup, or a government agency, or it could even be a research center. Okay, you then choose a problem that matters to you within the scope of education technology. You then go about designing and piloting a solution in consultation with your mentor. You'll have a mentor/guide from the institute. You may also have a mentor at the field site that is assigned to you, okay, or that you choose to work with. Then you share your processes and outcomes. When you're designing a product, so design is a way in which you're also doing your research. So you put something out there, gather feedback, bring it back to us, and talk us through how you went about it, your processes, and what you saw as your results, and how did you iterate? How did you kind of take the feedback and rework on your product? Okay. So the project starts with an introduction session. There'll be a few introductory lectures in terms of what's the capstone all to begin with, the kind of research methodologies that support typical capstone projects, and so on. Okay. And anyway, by the end of this whole project, you'll have a concrete product that you can point to and say, this is what I built, right? So and here's how it worked. So it also help you, if you're in the industry, it would help you over there, and if you're in research, there too, because that's how you do your research with the design that you created. Broadly, that said, in terms of capstone. And another thing that I want to also highlight is we also have something called the EdTech Talks. Okay, so where we bring people from academia, from industry, and from this one. So essentially, we want our students to have direct access to global voices that are shaping education technology. So that's why we have the series, it's a tech talk series. These are public talks, okay, with leading figures from academia industry. In fact, our students get a special half hour with the speakers for their questions. And in the past, we've had guests like Cynthia, who's featured here, Scott Osterwale from MIT, Professor Vijay Kumar again from MIT, and several others, including industry experts from India like Pranam Kothari of Educational Initiatives. Thank you. Thanks, Anush.
Yeah, and while the education and technology talks seem to be for education and technology, people who are outside of the realm, even if you're not our students, are all welcome to join in. We do announce this on social media and as and when these talks open up, and some are fascinating just to think about how to think about education and what we value in education. As AI seems to make its inroads everywhere, is really fascinating. It's in a sense, when you're looking at capstone projects, and I'll get to the exam pattern in a bit. Please note that even MA Education and MA elementary students and MA Education and Technology students, every one of you will be doing some kind of a research, but the difference in terms of what Anil pointed out as a capstone project is like a ready product that as a prototype that you can build on, and then you can apply for grants to build it further on. And it is really exciting. But those who don't like to build can also be researching on any of those spaces of edtech research, etc. and thinking about a checklist as another element, a monitoring tool, and so on. So we have a variety of kinds of capstones that we work on just to allow you to think about what would you like to explore. And it doesn't always have to be about building. It could also be about tweaking, studying, and figuring out where does technology fit in to the space.
Yeah, in fact, one of Anusha's students had a very interesting capstone project that he did, which was about using memes while teaching science, for teaching science. Yeah.
And one of our other colleague students had haptics, where you try and use the hand movements and the computer learns. But these are prototypes, or there's someone who also worked on, English learning or designing a MOOC course to enable UDL principles. So there could be varieties that are there, and we are just exploring some of it, and we hope to learn from you as you explore your ideas. So it is a process of discovery. But for the MA Education and Technology to be eligible, you need to understand that it will be a very different criteria from the MA Education Elementary. MA Education Elementary just requires any graduation. So if you have a 3-year graduation degree and anything over and above it, great, but that's a minimum qualification. Not so with technology, because it is a 1-year course. And the UGC requirements for this have been very clear that it would be either a 4-year undergraduate degree in any discipline. So you could be engineering, you can be a doctor, you could have done your 4-year BA, economics, history, whatever. It's a 4-year undergraduate degree. Or you could have had a 3-year undergraduate degree with either a master's degree or a PG diploma, which means a diploma after your graduation, which would have had enabled you to take a 160 credits thing. Please note, this is a requirement. Otherwise, your degree is invalid, and we do request you to think about those elements. It doesn't matter even if you're doing it as a 2-year course or anything. This is a requirement. But if you're in MA Education and Elementary, you could be your qualifications are just about asking for a degree in a sense, right? So any degree will do. And the fees for this, you will also note, are higher because this is a self-financing course. What it means is that some of the scheme funds that are available for SC, ST, etc., are not immediately available. But we try and ensure that we try to raise funding for the fees. To some extent, we have these support facilities that we talk about, that we had spoken about, community students, sessions that are there. And some of you have asked questions like, will these sessions be recorded? So Aparna, yes, the sessions are recorded, but I would also caution you that this has a very high requirement for attendance. So you should be attending 75% of the time, which means that you need to have 75% attendance on campus for those days. And you also need to have a separate 75% attendance for the online sessions. And while we do understand that sometimes you may not be able to attend, or you may have weak internet and have not listened, so we do record and share those recordings on demand, we do expect attendance to be maintained. So it is a commitment that you are making to the course when you join in. We also have a lot of resources which are both online and offline. In fact, this has a wonderful library which you are a part of once you join the program. And in addition to that, we have a very robust alumni network. And now you have lifelong card memberships. Once you become an alumni, you get a lifelong card membership with a student ID and access to our journals, all the journals that TES subscribes to as an online catalog. So that's actually right now, the faculty is jealous of the alumni, because once we retire or exit, we don't get that, but students do. And we also have a few other hands-on workshops, design and development programs, as Anil pointed out, at Tech Talks. Right now, what we are what three of us are missing to be here is a wonderful talk on the budget and the implications that it has for education from the Education Development and Policy Group that we also have at the School of Education. We try and offer financial aid for sure. Right now, for the Equal Opportunities and Open Cells, there is a scholarship that is already there. In addition, there is a PM Vidya Lakshmi scheme that is the Government of India initiative. Once you get your approval letter, you can approach the bank and you get a loan. We have to tell you that most of the time, for any of your financial aid, even for the financial aid, it is only after you become a student, which means that you pay the first semester fees, are you eligible to be applying for some of the grants. So we have given financial aid to students in the previous year and around 25 lakhs across our programs. But for any of that and all of that to be dispersed, it is the first semester fees have to be paid irrespective. But once you get the offer letter, the banks definitely sometimes, do give you the scheme. So that is under the PM Vidya Lakshmi scheme, which is on the government website, and that can be activated as well to see. In addition, what you see on the right is what we have raised. And again, these funds are fluctuating. We don't guarantee every year, but we do try and raise this money to support our students. Of the student records, this year our student placement records are still underway, so we are not sharing this year's records, but the ones that are there are in terms of the fact that of the students who opted for placements, we have a 96% placement and across all domains in a sense. We have a lot of these groups, as we said, the EdTech Research Group does its own bit, the Education Development and Policy Research Group has its own talks. Again, some of these talks are made public, open to many people. We have other groups that keep offering, so please follow us on social media to look at. We've had a variety of talks and seminars and symposia, conferences, workshops, open to many and in collaboration with many others. And so these are some of the elements that are available. And also our YouTube does host some of these talks before you come to and say, can we access it? Yes, you can go to our YouTube site and you should be able to. So there is infrastructure and learning resources that we have. We have something that's called Rachna Winter School Fellowship that this year we have not been able to offer for various reasons. We may make it a summer school. And we have school synergies. We work with multiple schools across the country. And we also take people on educational trips. Once you are here, you may also do tree walks, telescope. We have on our terrace, we have a telescope and we do use it to see the sun and the stars and the planets. And we do have nighttime gazing. So we see all of that, and we have a robust space for a lot of material design and development that you can work with Lego blocks, for instance, and see other tools that are there and figure out. So we have those. And then we look at, it's an ongoing process, and really it's about, how much ever we can learn. We also are festive. In fact, right now is the CIFR season as well. So we have our own programs and alumni meet and so on, to which people are again welcome. So I'm going to take some of the questions that have been put up in the elements, and Yash, for instance, has asked. So I'll go across in terms of the focus areas. One, Yash, before we come to some of your questions, let's just do a quick revamp of what Varsha and Yash have asked, which is how will the admissions be? So we have 5 programs in all, actually, that we offer. We have the B.Ed, M.Ed, we have the MA education, we have the M.Ed programs, and we have the MA education elementary and the MA education and technology. Now, the blended and flexible programs are just 2. And what we are here out to tell you about are how to apply for these 2 programs. So what you actually will be looking at is just these 2 programs, right? Now, what does that mean is that for these two blended education programs, you did not have to take the PG CUET test, for which the registrations are already closed. For the on-campus programs, the only way that you can apply and get in are through the PG CUET exams. The registrations for that portal was closed as of January 15th. So that is not the course that we are looking at. We are looking at the non-CUET PG exam pattern, which is available only for the blended mode courses. How does that happen? The program and the number of questions, this will be available on terms of the entrance test, but we have a portal, for instance, for the admissions. And right now, if you go to the tisadmissions.samarth.edu site, which is also on our posters, you will find that the non-CUET program admissions are open, and you need to click on new registration to apply. And you can apply by filling this form, and you can try and figure out the elements, and you have to choose your program and log in. How will the exam look? The exam is really going to be very similar to what we had last year. So I'm showing you what was last year's archived route. This is how it will look on your this year program as well. Right, so the TIS entrance exam will be for, we are going to create these elements where we're going to have mark sheets of 100 questions. We're going to have a number of questions that really focus on, this is going to be double, so it's going to be 100. And we're going to be looking at the English proficiency questions, mathematics questions, logical reasoning questions, and general awareness questions. So you will have a total marks of 20, 30, 20, 30, and you really will be focusing on the content knowledge. What will we look at in English? Assess the English language comprehension and language use at the standard level of standard 10th. We are not looking at great English. We do understand that some people come from vernacular mediums, are not comfortable and proficient in it. So it will have certain questions like word choice, reading comprehension, grammar, antonyms, etc. But this is the list. The mathematics question has focus on quantitative and logical reasoning questions. You don't need to know too much of math. Again, we are looking at a 10 standard level of preparedness. And when we say 10 standard, that's a CBSE standard that you would be looking at. So yeah, that would be the focus. But we're looking at basic arithmetic, basic geometry, basic statistics, not too much of algebra or trigonometry even. We want to look at profit and loss, time and motion, number series, data interpretation, things that you can look at in a graph and a table and be able to deduce which was the biggest year, where was the percentage fallout, etc. We will be assessing you on logical reasoning, and logical reasoning can be space reasoning, can be mathematical assumptions, can also be verbal assumptions, right? So you could have a logic of which of this is not a logical completion of or inference from the answer from the given passage, or which of these sequences, given a number line sequence, which will be the pattern that logically completes that number sequence. Those are the kinds of questions that you get. And in general knowledge, we assess you on current affairs in the last 1 year, especially what would have happened, focused on political sciences, social studies, education, technology, history, art and culture, sports. So who would have won an award, who would have, who won the Booker Prize, and so on, both national and international, but also policies and so on. So this is the general consensus of how the exam system will look like. You will have to do it online once you register. We will also take you through the entire, you are given, everything is done through the admission center, but once you register, there's going to be, you can take it on your phone, you can take it on your laptop. We generally recommend taking the exam on your laptop. You will have to keep your camera switched on. You can take it in the comfort of your home or office, but as long as there is a closed environment where other people are not behind you. and you will need to have your camera on. It is proctored online, and you do not have calculators, which is one of the other reasons why the maths will be very basic, arithmetic in terms of not really requiring calculator level uh, sums to be done. It's more logic based and knowledge based. So you will not have calculators allowed. You will have basic understanding, and you will have to be able to select. It's all a multiple select questions, 4 options. You have negative marking and positive marking. There is actually no negative marking in the TIS exam. So that is one of the best parts that come in there. So you do not have negative marking in the exam. This is not yet up on the site of what the exam will look like in this year, but we will be putting that up very soon. But generally, the consensus is that this is the kind of mark exams that you have. This is for only these 2 programs. If you had wanted to apply for any other program, you had to take the PGCUET exam. So that is one part of your questions. I hope that is clear. You will have to fill the forms. You will have to fill in the application forms, and the fees are differential based on whether you have what is the caste, etc. that comes in. So we have the social inclusion, uh, the inclusion metrics that we follow with elements. So admission is only for these 2 programs, Varsha, to reiterate, is only through the PGCUET, not through the blended, is only through this exam, not through the PGCUET. So you would not have seen this in the PGCUET, right? Aparna and Yash. Ideally, your classes will not clash because we do the online classes in the evening, 7 to 9. For those who are working professionals, TIS requires that you get a letter of permission from your employer saying that they have no objection to you doing the course. So you will require to submit a no objection certificate, a consent letter of sorts from your employer at the time of your admissions, so that the employer also understands that you will be going away from their workplace for about 10, 12 days, 2 weeks, approximately 10 days to 2 weeks from your workplace. Now, we generally do this during vacation periods, but we also understand that not all schools, not all colleges are all having the same vacation period. We also try and do such that when you're here on campus, we occupy your Saturdays, your Sundays. We try and club it around holiday times, which are function types, and we work through all the function days. So we work through Saturday, Sundays. For instance, this December, we had classes December 25th, we had classes on 31st, 1st, and everything, so that people will have to spend less time away from their work and their family. So hopefully it will be organized that way, but you are expected to be able to make time to be here on campus. And the other days, generally, you don't have anything much that really goes in. Aisha, I hope you now got how to do this elements, right? And the TIS exam date will largely be around March, the last Saturday of March. Largely that is when our TIS exam will be. That's one of the other questions you have asked. But the date is not yet completely out, so we don't want to put it, but most likely 28th of March will be the date for the exam. Yeah. You will, as I said, immerse. Now, to go back to one of Yash's question, will this give us sufficient grounding in research and support that trajectory? Yash, a very good question for the MA Education Elementary. I will just go back, and Nilesh, I would request you to come in and chip in here. But if you look at this landscape, the program emerged from the fact that we wanted to focus on elementary, and foundational learning is still a core factor across all our course programs. But it is really a large diversity of all landscape, from pre-primary Anganwadi schools, which have now become the K-12 schools that have now till 12th standard become a part of the Samagra Siksha Abhiyan, to looking at also the higher education and to adult and continuing education. So the concepts, the readings may deal exclusively largely with school education, but we also, because a lot of our work is in the middle school and the higher education spaces, we do bring in those readings. But in your research, in your exploration of the concepts and the kind of assignment questions we ask, you can discuss with your the teacher who is teaching you and negotiate that you will explore a part of history of education which is more focused on higher education. I'm just referring to the fact that you asked this question specifically on higher education, but you could be looking at it. Again, it doesn't mean that just because you're doing education in blended mode and in education elementary that you can't look at technology. You could be looking at the impact of technology, or you could be looking at policy, or you could be looking at the historicity of how education has developed or psychology has endured. So you can do it later. Many of our students have actually gone on to go ahead and do PhD in diverse fields and spectrums. In not just higher education but also adult and continuing education. Some of them are working in those spaces, some are working in NGO spaces, some are working and doing their PhD abroad in inclusive education, and so on and so forth. So yes, this sets you a spectrum for being able to think about education in a particular way, connect with projects, etc., that you may not otherwise be doing, and focus on that. I hope that answers your question, Yash. I'm trying to see if there are other questions I haven't answered. Vishnu, yes, that's exactly the point. You don't have to do PGCUET to be able to apply. You have to take the TIS exam that is now available and open right now. And you can go to that admission portal that Anil has said. And yes. Will Aparna, Anil, you want to come in here with this question? Aparna is asking, I work in educational technology. I'm looking at gaining knowledge in the areas of data analysis, impact evaluation, design in the area. Will this program be suitable for me?
So we may not have specific courses precisely for data analysis and impact evaluation, but across this a series of courses. For example, product management looks at data analysis. My course on learning design with technology also looks at data analysis and impact evaluation. And so does, to some extent, emerging technologies. You will have at least a broader understanding of how these things are used in education technology. Even for something like EdTech adoption is another course that we have. So, across a series of courses, you will come across the various ways in which and the various angles through which we look at these topics. Yeah.
And also, one thing that you're forgetting is the fact that the capstone will allow you to explore it in great detail.
Absolutely.
Aparna.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it really allows you. You can, I'm opening these sites to just tell you that you don't have to be dependent on us. You can go to the website, tis.ac.in, and you can check out under academics. Once you get to academics, you can check out the schools. The School of Education has the site. There you can download the prospectus, or you can go into our courses and be able to see from our courses what we are about. So there are teaching programs that are there when you click on about, and each of these open up to a particular course program. So you can look at the structure that I have been showing you, and you could go in and check out the courses and figure out how these all evaluate into and what the fees looks like right now, etc. So this is there, and as I said, therefore you can focus, and there is already a button there that says apply now, so you can start applying for these two programs only, the Master of Education and the Master of the elements that you're looking at in the Master of Master of
and
Arts in
Technology.
Education and Technology, right? So you can look at those. You could be focusing on some of the elements that really come through. So think about what you want to focus on, what you want to learn more in. And this is the fees difference are because of the self-financing nature or not. Sorry, was there anything else? Will there be any changes in the courses, like including data analysis or digital humanities elements as courses? Jyoti, some of these are offered more in terms of edtech talks. So if we know that a cohort is really focused on, looking at digital humanities, which is a very niche idea. Not everyone who comes into our courses is interested in humanities per se. So we do. There are two of us at the center actually, Nishevita and I, and also Anil to some extent, who also comes from a literature background. And we do work with digital humanities to some extent, and we look at different kinds of prizes. There is a group that is called Dharti, which is digital humanities and research interests in terms of what we want to focus on. Yeah, you are a part of it. All right. Yeah. So am I. So you could be looking at some of these elements, and we could have talks, we could have focus area discussions on these. We can get in experts to speak on, and you can explore it in a different way. In terms of data analysis, we actually have a very strong, robust course team for undergraduate in data analytics. And there are some programs available even otherwise from TIS, not necessarily from our center, which also looks at data analytics. And we have some of our own faculty members looking at data analytics in a different way. So it also depends. Data analytics itself is a very vast field. Whether you're going to use it with AI, are you going to do qualitative data? Are you going to do quantitative? What is it that you're looking at? All of these come in. So in the monitoring and evaluation and those kinds of parts of the courses, you will want to look through some of these elements. So those are ideas that you can be focusing upon. Yeah. And I'm glad that you're glad to see that the members also on here. All right. Are there other questions? Varsha, I think I answered your question, so that's it. Yes. So are there other
Ma'am, can we unmute and ask questions?
Of course, please do. That was something I had said at the beginning, but yes, please do.
Yeah. Ma'am, is this MA Education Elementary can be progress to an MPhil and a PhD in the future?
Yes, yes.
So does it meet
Your
the...
MPhil is no longer something that the UGC allows, Satishwaran. What you are allowed is only a PhD. And yes, both the MA education in elementary does allow you to get to a PhD, but so does the MA Education and Technology, especially abroad. But yes, you can apply for a PhD.
Oh, okay. So that's what... Ma'am, can you share us what was the 2025 class schedule? Because being working, we can just see how can we patch up work. That's the thing into it.
Okay. We have
the reason is, yes, the office doesn't give us leave. We have to only apply CL and we have to come back.
I know you will. That is one of the elements. What we will do is we'll put up an FAQ section that we are going to be looking at, and we will in that section That's a great question to ask. I did say that at the beginning of the semester. So, for instance, we can tell you the dates for now, tentatively from May 26th for 10 days to 12 days. You will be on campus. At the beginning, once the whole procedure is there for 10 to 12 days. And as we said, please forget that you have weekends or anything. We take classes from 9 in the morning to 6 in the evening. And sometimes some of our faculty don't let us off even then. And we are guilty of taking you all till 7 or so in the evening. And you have a lot of heavy reading and other stuff to do. But we try and pack it in so that you can leave early, right? And then similarly, it is during the December vacation time that we try and bring in people, or during the Diwali break, so that people can come here for that period of time. And there will be some holidays that you can club in with together for the on-campus elements. Sample schedule we will try and do. So Pooja
No problem,
and
ma'am.
Satishwaran, we
Ma'am,
will
I have a
definitely-
question. I have only another question. When we come to the campus, will the hostel accommodation be provided, or we have to look at the accommodation outside?
Great question. So that's a wonderful question, and that's there in the FAQs. But you will be provided hostel accommodation, but this is school student, this is college student hostel accommodation. So please don't look for fancy stuff. But yes, you are provided our TIS hostels, which is one of the reasons why we try and hold your sessions during our vacation period, so that you will get the hostel facility. You will be on campus.
Thank you, ma'am.
So yes, Pooja, that is the question that you also asked. So both of you, we will take care of the accommodation largely. And so the food is in the dining hall, on the campus, and so on and so forth. Yes. But a good question that we will keep in mind to highlight in the FAQs.
Ma'am, I have another question.
Sure,
Please correct me.
Satishwaran.
Ma'am, suppose if we are taking classes in or Zoom alone, I don't think Office laptop will be a problem. Suppose if we have any download of any app or download of anything, Office laptop doesn't give permissions. So is there anything in the course curriculum, for an example?
It depends on, yeah, so good question. It depends on which is the course you're doing.
No, I'm only planning for MA education and elementary. Not the, I will not be.
So
yeah.
if you're doing MA education and technology, some of the courses do require that you be on, use different data sources. But largely what we try and see is if you have a problem with one, then the other. GitHub, for instance, is something that MA in education and technology will do. But also, while you're keeping that in mind, I would say that we, even in the MA education and elementary, do have an ICT course that we do offer, and we do, require, there may be technologies that are required, but we can negotiate that ahead of time based on it. And also it could be a website-based recommendation. But yes, we largely use Zoom as a platform for all our classes, so that's also there.
Ma'am, how is we spoke about the technology and the courses. How is the exams, internals, and all those things? I didn't see anything.
All right. No, those were not questions that we were answering. So yes, in a course credit course that you have, there will be no, should I say there will be no written exam? That's not right to say, but there's no traditional written exam the way you think of exams. Right? So we have term papers, we have assignments that you're working on as review papers and uploading. We have class participation, which is one of the reasons why you have a 75% structure. And Anil and Nilesh, feel free to chip in and chime in at any point in time. But these are, so if there is a 2-credit course as just an idea, if there is something like reading, writing, and thinking in education, I'll just take that one course that is there. One of the things is you may be attending lectures with us, you are participating in our discussions, whether it is online or in the on campus, and we mark you and evaluate you on it. That's one type of an assessment. Another type of assessment can be you actually read up something and write a reflective review on it. You do something and you create an archetype, you are presenting it, you're discussing it, and so on and so forth. So even in key ideas and concepts in education, for instance, you could have some very interesting kind of, for instance, one of the things that one of the teachers does is do an scenario-based learning display and a case study analysis, etc. So those could be certain types of assessment that you have. We have a term and paper, generally sometimes long. Nilesh might be able to give me elements, but 5,000 to 8,000 words long, where we give you enough time to have thought through the course, read through the readings, and have a reflective paper that you upload on TESOL platform, which is a Moodle-based platform that we use for your learning. This is not AM, Aparna, this is PM. So it will generally be 6:30 to 7, between 6:30 to 9:30 PM, a 2-hour window in that. We negotiate with the students, and the larger majority decision is what wins. It is the student priority rather than the teacher priority, but it is in the weekdays, it is in the evening time. So if you are working in a US-based zone or something, this might become difficult. And we understand that, so I'm just putting it out ahead of time. Generally, so far, Nilesh, if I'm not wrong, 7 to 9 for MAEE as well. Definitely 7 to 9 for MAET.
Ma'am, a final question. Sorry
Yes.
if I'm bombarding you with questions.
No, go ahead.
How is the reservation system for this program, MA Education Elementary?
All our programs will follow the UGC guidelines for reservation.
Okay, I have a
50%.
personal question. I'll just get to one-to-one data. I might
Yeah.
be an MBC in my state, but when I have a national application, I'm coming into a general category or something. So I want to know something because I'm totally out of touch of this
You can
reservation for the last
write
18
to
months.
us. We have a admission portal email ID that we have, which is for the elements. I'll just put that into the chat as well. And you can write to us and just let us know. And we have also given our mobile numbers in the elements. So just 1 second, all right? So using that email ID, you can just reach out to us and put up. Sorry, I am SOE admissions, but I just want to know whether there's a hyphen or no hyphen. Give me a minute. Yeah. Just right. No. So Jyoti, I'll answer your question in a while. So the ID is SOE-admissions. This is for everyone who has a query 2026 at tis.ac.in. This is the email ID that you can reach out to. And the other one is in terms of our address. You can actually, yeah, that's the email ID that you can reach out to, and we would prefer the questions on email if possible. But you can also reach out to us in, using our WhatsApp number. But please note that the email is being accessed by more people than the WhatsApp. So please also note that this is an office number and it is not always accessible on weekends. So this is the WhatsApp number that you can reach out to. So those two. Yeah. I hope that clarifies something. So Satish, maybe
Thank
that
you,
is
ma'am,
what
for
you
all
wanted to know.
answering all my questions
Yeah,
patiently. Thank you, ma'am.
Jyoti, your question, the PhD exam is based on NET in central universities. Other universities which are not central may have their own regular exams, like the PET exam or something of that sort. So it really depends on which university you're applying to. But increasingly, a lot of the PhD exams are through the NET. So some state universities have their own exam and they don't take the NET, but that's only allowed. Central universities, everyone just goes through the NET, and more universities are just saying the NET exam is equivalent. So if you have a NET, you qualify at 3 levels. One is the PhD, which is valid for only that year that you have taken that exam. So if you've taken the exam in 25, it is applicable for the academic year of 25 and 26, 25, 26, and so forth. The assistant professor, which is valid for a lifetime, and the JRF or the SRF, depending on the things, will be valid for a period of 3 years. That is how the course goes. So post this, can you take the NET? Yes, you can. MAET students, the UGC has said, and the ABC guidelines do say 1-year things. I do want to qualify that the actual final guidelines for this is yet to come. Once it is in place, then if you have just, if you are after this immediately applying for a PhD using the NET, you may want to wait it out, in a sense that Once the guidelines are in place, only then will you be qualified, unless you have already got another MA degree. Can we study PhD INTES itself with the same subject? Doesn't matter, even if you're in the same subject, you'll still have to appear for the NET. Yes, you can study. Of course, education can be studied, but you will still have to appear for the NET. Qualifying, this is not like kindergarten mein admission le liya to 12th tak. You are there throughout. No, you have to qualify for it. Pooja, the portal is asking for ABC credits, ID. It's not compulsory. We have already said that it is not compulsory. Nilesh, do you want to come in for that question? You don't have to be. They are not updated. It is not a problem. We understand. Of course not. I mean, the ABC portal has just come about, so not a problem. Any other questions? All right. Thank you. If there aren't, then thank you for spending your evening with us and asking us great questions. And some of these we will keep in mind and put it, add to our FAQs. And thank you for those pointers. We
Thank you,
will
ma'am.
figure out that, yeah.
Very good.
I'm going to save the chat just for references. Some of these have been very good questions. Please feel free to reach out if you have any doubts, any questions, any suggestions even. Please write in or even WhatsApp, and we will reach back to you. But please understand, office hours are 10 to 6, and we will try and get back to you in 24-hour cycles. But on Saturdays and Sundays, it may be a little bit more delayed. But otherwise, we will get back to you for sure. Please write to us. Stay in touch, and all the very best. Good night. Thank you, Nilesh, Anil, everyone. Bye.